Do you have it on you?
No, it's right there on the table.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
I wonder if it has to be a certain height to like find it. I don't know.
Okay. So we kind of talked a little bit yesterday after the observation, just because we were chatting a little bit. But
Totally.
so I already shared some great things that I noticed in your classroom. I mean, you have like the relationships that you have with kids. I mean, you can just tell like that they love being in your classroom, and that you just foster just that love for learning for all of them. So it's really incredible to see kids feel completely comfortable in there. And then a couple of just instructional pieces that I noticed that I felt and observed kids really utilizing was the multiple modes of direction giving. So I don't know if you like noticed it or not, but I mean, we were just talking about flip charts, and you gave verbal directions, but then you also had all of those directions on there just because there were multiple things that they had to do at one time when they were setting up their science notebooks. And so I noticed probably at least 10 kids like keep looking up at the board. Awesome. So then you didn't have to keep repeating what the directions were if kids were stuck, that they knew where to go and where to look. So that was really good. And then also the use of a timer. I'm not sure if that's something that you use every day throughout your entire lesson to keep the pace, but you definitely used it at the beginning when the kids were writing the CLO. And I felt like that, like even just you hitting the timer, I think does two things. I think one, it like signals and pushes the kids. Good morning.
Is it a seashell? Thank you.
Where are they from?
From my auntie, Sheila.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you so lucky.
You're Lena. Okay.
Sorry, it's okay. We're just recording conversation. You guys are fine.
You're fine. That's normal life.
Where was I? Oh, the timer. So two things I think like it really benefits is like when I saw you hit the button, I was just like curious like how kids respond to that, and you can just tell that it gives them like a sense of urgency, like, oh, this is being timed, like I better work quickly, I better not, drag my feet. And then I think it allows you to stay with your pacing as well. So kudos to you. Those were two like big things that I noticed. And then the focus of when I was in there, when we talked about your goal setting, was around productive struggle. And yesterday you were launching it with kids, which I got to see like the tail end, or like the introduction of it, but I didn't get to see how kids engaged with it. So I wasn't able to observe all of that work, which is okay, I think, because, but I guess before we dive into the productive struggle, I did collect some data, and not all of the data goes back to the goal of the productive struggle, because that was like the very end. But I just wanted to share the data with you because it does capture like the timer, like the direction giving, things like that. And I just want to quickly share it with you just so we can, and then as you're looking through it, you can just highlight different things that pop out to you, like either like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this was happening, this is amazing, or like, oh, that's interesting, you know what I mean? So whatever just pops out to you with the data that you see.
Okay, awesome. Coaching conversation, but you can join.
Are we videotaping it?
We are.
All right, I have a question for you when you finish.
Okay, sounds good. Don't know how to get this smaller. That is the piece I was at. Yeah. adding up to too much time.
Pacing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I noticed that a little bit too. And I noticed that there's 6 minutes with kids setting up the notebook. And I know, obviously, like it was a new unit, that's going to take a little bit more time for them to do all of those steps because they're setting up new pieces of the notebook. So I don't know that the next time it's going to take as much time. But I do notice then the next is 3 minutes. Well, then this is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the next is 8. So what do you notice? What's the difference between those longer time periods and then that very short time? Like you as a teacher, what are some of the teacher moves that you used to make that less?
Timer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just giving them of how long this is going to take us.
Yeah. That's what I noticed too. So I definitely praised you for it because I think it was amazing when you did use the timer, and that's why it was kind of like a question, I guess, is the timer something that you use?
I think I'm sporadic. I like forget and remember and forget and remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even when we're in stations and it's like, it's a timed 20-minute station, all of a sudden 10 minutes are like, when did it start the timer? I mean, it is a kid's job now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not responsible enough to handle it.
Yeah.
But,
and so,
yeah.
like I was saying, like I think it will help with your pacing and your time, but then also, like I think kids do respond to it. When you, they totally got a sense of urgency when they had to write the CLO and write those things for 3 minutes.
Okay. What do you think about the first, I mean, when they come back from specials, they really haven't used the restroom yet, so I give them a bathroom break, we eat our snack, they're supposed to be multitasking. Is that just a waste of time? Should I move it to you go to the bathroom just once at least? I just don't want kids to be missing instruction. I'd rather them all just go to the bathroom at once, get it over with, fill their water bottles, like be ready to learn. And it's a good transition.
Do you think kids are abusing the privilege, or do you
No,
think
not at all.
Yeah, I didn't really see it either. I didn't really even see kids going to the bathroom that much. Were they? Maybe I
It
just
depends
missed
on
it.
what's like if they come back. Well, they had come back from gym. Or no, they had it. On Tuesdays when they come back from gym, I feel like they're more likely to go take a drink, or when it's like
Because
hot.
it's double special.
Yeah. Or when it's hot, I feel like they will. But yeah, on like science days, I don't notice that they do as much.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question.
Just for that
because
first
it
6
does-
minutes, but maybe that's not where I should be
I
concerned. It's on this
wonder-
8-minute piece.
If you flipped things, like, can you give them? Do you typically do the CLO after? So they were setting up their notebooks and then you went to the CLO.
Yeah.
Do you normally start with the CLO?
Yeah, it's just up when they walk in from specials.
And they have to write it.
Yeah.
And during that time they go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So how long does the morning does that piece, that initial piece, usually take? Is it shorter? Or like what if you time it?
I'd actually be interested to see.
Yeah. Because I think yesterday was like the exception maybe, because if they come in, they're writing the CLO as they enter, and they know that they do have to be multitasking and they have to manage their own time.
Yep.
But I wonder if you do.
It's supposed to be 10 minutes total. From when I usually say 10:15 when we exit specials to 10:25, and we're gonna start at 10:25, which I was only 2 minutes off. I'm starting at 10:25, but I'd be interested on a nap day when it's 9:25 to 9:35 if we're getting there.
Or start by trying to like do the 10 minutes, but then 10 minutes, like maybe like every week you try to decrease it, like 8 minutes. Because I think 10 minutes might be a lot. It is a lot.
But that's like me picking him up, walking up the stairs.
That's true.
I mean, but still, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that is a piece that we could tighten for sure.
And then if you use the timer in the beginning, I think the kids, if they see that visually, they can like just have more of that sense of urgency to make sure that they're in their seats ready to go. So the next time I come in.
So real quick, just to even go into that a little further. So should I be timing how many kids like I call on and charting? Because that was the longest piece, the 8 minutes. Did do you think, because normally I don't turn in front of them very much anymore, but I find it is really powerful. But it does take longer.
It does take longer.
What did you think about the use of that 8 minutes, or should it have been 5? And I
Well,
cut it to 5.
This is where I was like, so in that 8 minutes, I think you engaged in conversation with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kids. So, not that that's horrible, you were still able to engage in almost 50% of your class, but then the other 50% didn't say a word during that whole time.
Totally.
But then after that, you did have them turn and talk to somebody, so then 100% of your kids are talking. And so the charting in front of them is good. I just wonder like how you can have more voices, or like how that can be shortened, or
Okay. So
if
maybe it
it's
should have been a sticky note and come bring it up to the chart, and then I'll chart it later.
yeah, it could have been
We
that.
bring one thing you know about electricity up, and bring one. Yeah.
And then maybe you just like as a teacher like pick a couple, because then
Yeah,
that's
to share.
100% engagement too, because if everybody's having to contribute. Yeah.
I just feel like when you're doing the intro, sorry, I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
I like and dislike KWL charts. I like them because it previews for kids who are like, I don't know anything about electricity. Like, oh yeah, I do. But it also, it's like some of them don't know the things we know. Some of them are like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. You know.
And some of the ideas that they came up with were
Deep.
yeah.
It was interesting. The other class was not that deep. It was so
Like
different.
Chloe was like when you. So then you had a variety of ways that you were calling on kiddos too. So some of them you were cold calling, some by raising their hand, and then you used a popsicle stick for Chloe, and I don't think she was quite expecting it. And you asked, what is it? What does it sound like? And she was like having a hard time coming up with it. But that's what I mean of like the relationship that you have with kids and the relationships that they have with each other. Because then Joe jumped right in and she was able to paraphrase what Chloe was trying to say. Yeah, and so the ideas that the kids had were great. But I would love to like sit down with you in planning to look at like if because they were able to they had to think about what do you already know, what do you want to know, and so having that like you have to have some sort of conversation after you have those thoughts. So the sticky note idea is great, or if you did the turn and talk here, but I wonder if they could have like talked about it with each other first, because then they're all engaged in conversation with one another, and then you don't call in as many kids because you called on 11, and maybe you just call on a couple, and maybe you can use different strategies then of, and I think your kids would totally eat it up and love it, but if you and I are talking and we have to share ideas with each other, like as a teacher move, you could say like, Emery, what did Merlinda share? So then you know that they're,
Cool. Or I was thinking, so this is kind of that order thing. I was saying like, what order? Because if I had already had them in science teams, I would have said share with your science team, because then it starts an engagement piece with them and their science team. It's a specific question to talk about. They already start engaging with these 3 kids that maybe they haven't worked with before this year. So it's like, that's when that piece of the order matters, but somehow it's so hard to know for me to think about it ahead of time.
Yeah. It could have made a difference.
Or does it matter?
I think
Could have just been turn and talk.
I don't know that it necessarily mattered in this case. I think the beneficial piece to having them in their groups prior is that relationship building with each other.
Exactly.
Of like getting comfortable with their new team, since it is a new team for them. I mean, your kids have been with each other all year, and it's now March, so I think the groups after, and especially the dynamics of your kids, probably didn't matter as much, but for some of them, it could have benefited having them in groups first.
Okay, cool. That's good to think about. Then would you have done this one a turn and talk? If that one's turn and talk, do another one? Or done this one, the productive struggle, differently?
I like that you did the turn and talk here, just because it gives kids means. Sometimes,
Okay.
like, especially since that's not a term that they've heard before. Like I just think about your ELL kids or your students that might need a little bit more processing time. They're able to think about what that word struggling means and process, like, and visualize that. And so sometimes I just think it gives those kiddos like a better sense of like feeling comfortable and not feeling like, oh my gosh, she's gonna call on me and I have no idea what this means. So it just depends. Like, since this was a new concept, I think the turn and talk is a very like smart move to do there.
Okay. Perfect.
And with the turn and talks, the only question that I have to you, and I think we've talked about this before, is how do you know that all of your kids are talking?
I don't. So what protocols do we need to put in place?
So a suggestion that I could give is to ensure that there's like equitable conversation is to like have it just really structured for kids. So like I think
30 seconds.
30 second. So like the person with the longest hair, you're gonna share, or maybe get them processing time first. So I don't know if there was processing time first. So if you're gonna do it that way, I would say like, okay, let's just think about what that word struggling means. I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds to think about that.
Cool.
Write it down if you need to. The person with the longest hair you're gonna share first. You have 30 seconds, go. They get to share, and then
Should I be rigging it more that it's like the kid? I mean, for struggling, I think it was okay because even like Jazz was able to access that. But if it's a harder term, should it be more strategic that the person who's going first is the one who can give information, or is that just gonna be pulling my hair out? Because
You could do
how
that.
strategically.
you could do that. How do you think you could structure that? Or
I
what do you
mean,
think
we
that
did
would
at the
look like?
beginning of the year with their cell phones, so I knew their number one partner was a homogeneous, their number two was a heterogeneous, number three was a struggle and real high-low, number four was a medium, but then it just
Have you used
fell apart. Yeah.
So you can go back to the cell phones if you want to. I think in some cases it does make sense to kind of give the person that has a little bit more information or might be able to share a little bit more. Like, I think that would also be, I don't think you have to overthink them all the time, but like it just depends. But you can try to go back to the cell phone. How did kids react to the cell phone when you guys used it?
I think there were too many choices, but other than that, they liked it.
So if you were to eliminate some choices, which are the ones that aren't necessary?
Yeah, like, I mean, the math one versus a literacy one, just because, and in some ways that is needed. You might be a high math kid, but struggle in literacy, so you need to be second in literacy, but first in math. I think it was just us losing track. Okay, which partner was which? So
But even when they get with their partners, how can you then say like
it
if
still
it's-
needs to now be timed.
It needs to be timed, but then how do you still know like who is going to be sharing first though?
They had then an A and a B
Okay.
in that pair, so there was an A B.
So I wonder if like to make it really simplistic for kids
And for us.
and for you is to just do one partner.
Okay.
And like anytime it's like whole group instruction and you like maybe even during the whole group instruction whether they're at the carpet, I know you have the flexible seating, but maybe they have to find a spot near that person because they're, you know, accountability partner, like whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And maybe just like for the month of March, it's just like they are going to be buttons. You know, you're not going to switch around the groups too much.
Yep. Perfect.
You guys need to get better at these words. Alright.
Okay, that's good.
What support do you need with making all of that happen? Do you need my support with planning?
No, I
or-
think I just need to I need to tell myself it's important and that I have the time to set up the structure because my go-to is, there's too much on our plate. I don't have the time, but I have the time.
And allow yourself time because it will
Yeah.
take, like, you know, we talk about this pacing in these minutes, and I know there's a sense of urgency for you to tighten this up, but when you're putting new systems in place, I mean, you're going to have to explain to kids what that looks like. You might have to do some modeling, which is going to take time of setting that up. But but I mean, it's worth spending the time in the long run, because then in the long run, those systems are just going to be second nature to kids, and it's not going to take that much. You know what I mean?
And this group will catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think if I can tighten up some of this stuff, it allows for the time. So if I tighten up my piece, there's extra time,
Yeah.
which is good.
Absolutely.
No, I think I'll start at like Monday. I'll
Okay.
think of a time in math, and then we'll practice each day next week. I also need to talk to Becky and ask if she's willing to be on board, because it doesn't really work and I think she totally would be.
Yeah.
In fact, she put some accountability partners in place last year, or this year, and I kind of was the one who dropped the ball. So I think really amp that up again. That'd be awesome.
Okay. When will you do it with both groups?
Yep, so the first group, I think I'll start the day with that. And
At 10 and
so at
No.
9:25, and then I can time that 9:25 to 9:35 piece.
So you'll time that piece, because
Yeah.
you won't start the accountability partners until after that first piece,
Exactly.
right? Okay, so when I come in on Monday, I'll just time that piece for you.
Okay.
And give you some feedback there, but then I'm not going to time the rest of it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to stress you out with the times, and I want to allow you flexibility to
Yeah.
let go of the time for a little bit, because you're going to be setting up that new
Okay.
system for kids.
Perfect.
So great.
Awesome. What about the stuff I need? Do you think it just having a timeline is gonna shorten my talking, or did I talk too much?
How do you spell Barat?
I don't think you did. I think you were narrating. You were narrating behaviors. You were going around and checking in with kids that needed help. You were. I think what you did here is you gave kids the choice to like thumbs up if you're done. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of just saying like you have to be done. You know, like we're timing this piece, or like some might do like a fist to 5, which those are great strategies. Like when kids do need a
But
little
I'm
bit more
giving
time.
too much leniency.
But there's like
So what do I do for like Joe? I mean, I guess I could just start printing one for her, and she goes in it. If my kids who are stressed about being done, and then if they're not done, they freak out and they can't move on. But I just need to be printing more CLOs for them to glue it,
yeah.
or cut off the second half and be like, okay, I've done the first 2 sentences for you. You need to film the rest.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like I can share. I mean, kids can start like paraphrasing it. I mean, that'll might be like you having to teach, but they're wanting to write like word for word. You know.
Now we did the paraphrasing. It was not going well. I just don't. I mean, I think that.
I mean, that would definitely be
Yeah.
a differentiation tactic and a scout that you could use for some of your kiddos. And I know that that's going to be more work for you, but I think beneficial to the kids if
To
you
do
did
the
type.
Or
No, to type up the
I already type it up for
Already.
5 with the kids.
Okay.
So I already tape it for me, Gabe, Dylan,
And all they have to do is
TV.
glue it or tape
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. So then I could just scaffold it a little more by erasing or cutting off the last sentence and giving it to kids who can access the last part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which in fact, they should really be accessing the last part too, but I kind of, that was not a battle I was willing to fight.
No. Yeah. you
Yeah.
have to do what's best for your kid.
Totally. Okay. I like that. Because then if we're not done, Josephine will be okay.
So how does all of this feel?
Good. Feels awesome. I feel like it's good feedback and kind of what I already knew, but now it gives me an action step to implement, which is good. And holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm excited to see it on Monday.
Yeah.
Can't wait. So
That's awesome.
We'll turn
Awesome.
this off, but then, so we didn't get to the